4th Avenue to Tech would drive. O'Leary to Key. It's WreckTalk.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. I hope you're having a fantastic Halloween Friday night. We do have some football on. North Carolina going on the road to play Syracuse. Syracuse is going to be starting a freshman quarterback. They've moved on from Ricky Collins. LSU transfer, who's on the board behind us. And I was thinking, maybe we could tell some spooky stories here tonight. And for Georgia Tech fans, what would be the biggest horror story we could tell other than you lose your starting quarterback for the rest of the season or something like that? Probably more horrific is losing your head coach. There's been a lot of talk. I even admonished 6A The Fan for, which I still think was a clickbaity title, but all over Twitter today, Brent Key, talk of Brent Key interviewing for the Penn State job during the bye week. Now, I have it pulled up on here on my this guy does not have a ton of followers. He claims to have a source here, puts a text out, says Brent Key is interviewing for the Penn State job next week when Georgia Tech is on a bye. Now, do I know whether this is true or not? No. If I did know, would I come out here and tell you? Also, no, I would not. I would not tell you. But you know what you can do to prevent yourself from becoming a horror story yourself? If you got some facial hair there, that's right. You can get yourself some King's Ransom beard oil. I've been using it the entire season. They're the official sponsor of WreckTalk. And if you're a diehard Georgia Tech fan, the owner is a chemical engineering graduate. It's easy as going to kingsransomusa.com. You can pick from any one of these. You can even use promo code WreckTalk and get some for yourself, or you can go watch the power ranking video or something. You just scroll right down. It's as easy as clicking the link right there. Again, use promo code WreckTalk. Get yours today. So, back to Brent Key. Now here, I'll say it again in this video. I said it in the last one where we talked about, Brent Key and possibility of him going to Penn State. My position is that what it would take to move Brent Key from Georgia Tech would cost a school way more than he's worth. I mean, he's still got a lot to prove. Now he is undefeated this season, right? You did have the hiccup against Wake Forest. However, you did end up winning that game. But you would have to make Brent Key top 5 highest paid coach, I still think, to move him. Now, I've written the market behind me here. There's currently 11 positions open for head coaches: LSU, Florida, Penn State, who he's purported to be interviewing with here, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Stanford, Colorado State, and UAB. Geez, was Trent Dilfer an awful coach? When you're named, your claim to fame is being the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl, is that really who you want being your coach? Anyways, and I wrote a question mark next to LSU because a lot of people are going to say that's the number one job on the board, but is it? They've fired 2 coaches that have won national titles for them. They just fired Brian Kelly for maybe the straw that broke the camel's back was getting mollywopped by Texas A&M there, but he wasn't on a major decline. James Franklin was fired after going to the playoffs last year. I mean, just the patience for head coaches, and I think we're escalating to a breaking point here, has just gotten insane. The market for coaches is insane. The governor of LSU has gotten involved, which if you haven't heard him talk, just listen to him talk, and you'll be like, yep, that guy's from LSU. He comes out and says, our AD is not going to be making this hire. He got a lot to answer for. He had Jimbo Fisher out there. He will not be making this hire. So they're going to fire their AD too. So well over $100 million to make that move. Crazy. Also, the buyouts for coaches. I would think something eventually has to give for that, because the most successful person in our sport right now that we love is a person who has success and then sucks ass and gets fired. Jimbo Fisher's making like $32,000 a day still. Brian Kelly's going to be paid $23,000 a day for the next 7 years, like over $800,000 a year to do nothing. It's wild. Back to Brent Key. I would not blame Brent Key for filling out the market and positioning himself to get paid. Now, I don't think he wants to leave Georgia Tech, and that's been my position all along. But with all the names that are behind me, and I've said I think Brent Key has taken less than he's worth. He was one of the lowest paid coaches in the ACC to get his staff paid. He might be looking around right now and saying, hey, it's time for me to get paid now. We're 8-0. We're undefeated. We are in the driver's seat to make an ACC title appearance, which means they've got basically a 50-50 shot at making the playoffs right now, something Georgia Tech has never done. I think it's time to pay this man. Now, I know we just renegotiated his contract, and there's going to be people like, well, this is bullshit, that this is happening. But look, I mean, you have to take advantage of the market you're in. I would love it if Georgia Tech would just get another deal done with them now. And I'll tell you what I would do. If you're watching this video, do you think Brent Key's your guy? Do you think Brent Key's your guy for Georgia Tech? If you don't, who do you want to bring in that you think is going to have done better than Brent Key? He's undefeated right now. I would go ahead and ink a deal with him now. I would pay him 8.302, I think's the number. 8.302 or 303 would make him the third highest paid coach in the conference, behind Dabo Swinney and behind Bill Belichick. Now, North Carolina, if they had the money, would fire Bill Belichick right now for the atrocious display of football that he's put on, as well as the atrocious display of being an ignorant human being and a blue chew Jordan Hudson simp. But that would make him the third highest paid, right above $0.001, I think, $1 million a year higher paid than Mario Cristobal. I would do a 5-year deal with him. That would be like, what, $42 million, somewhere in there. $42 million deal. Why do I want to do that? Because I don't blame him for shopping himself out, using an agent, getting paid what he's worth. Anyone who's watching that video should do that. If there's a market that you're in which you're being underpaid and you have some kind of leverage in that market, you should use that to get paid more, and you would if you could. The bad side of it is it's never good when your coach there's some question as to whether your coach is going to be interviewing, possibly leaving the school for another job. Nothing about that is good, especially if you're Georgia Tech sitting 8-0 and you're going on the road to NC State. That's probably going to be a tough game. It's a sellout on a Halloween, or not Halloween night, November 1st. Either way, the night after Halloween. It's a distraction. I don't like it. I feel like we could go ahead and ink that. And by the way, tell me, do you agree with that? Would you pay him that much? In the landscape of college football, that's not stupid pay either. Do I think this is true? I just looking through the comments in this, most Georgia Tech fans are saying there's not a lick of truth to this. No way, Jose. He's a Tech man through and through. He's not going anywhere. Look, there's plenty of people that have been at their alma maters and left for higher paying jobs. Like, does that mean that Key is more apt to say yes? And I think at the end of the day, he wants to get paid what he's worth at Georgia Tech, and probably that's the angle of it. I don't know. And I don't blame him for that. However, I want to get this wrapped up as quickly as possible. Now, if you look at LSU, Florida, Penn State, is he the number one on the board for any of those guys? No, he's not. It's Lane Kiffin, right? It was Kirk Cignetti. They locked him into a max deal. Nebraska just extended Matt Rule. By the way, I think Key's buyout's only like $12 million. So that's enticing for him if you're shopping for a coach as well, and you just paid the second highest buyout in the history of college football. But he won't be the top name on there. But only one of those teams can hire whoever's number one on the board, which is most likely Lane Kiffin, right? So let me know what you think. Man, it would be a gut punch to lose Brent Key. I've not famously, but I did go on the ACC show and bet Slim, which he didn't take me up on, but I said, I'll pay you $20,000 if he leaves for Florida. I don't think he's leaving for Florida. Because here's the thing. Here's the other thing that coaches have to consider. You go to LSU, Florida, Penn State, and you don't win inside of 3 years. Like, you're not in the playoffs in that third year, they're going to fire you. Now, are you going to get paid bukus and bukus of money? Yes, but Key's a young coach, and I'm sure he would like to continue coaching for some time and leave some kind of legacy on the coaching world. Much easier to do that. Well, much easier to not get fired at Tech, let's just be honest. If you win 8 or 9 games pretty consistently here, they're going to build statues for you probably, and you'd be the winningest coach ever. If you, over the span of like more than 6 years, averaged 8 wins, you'd be winning percentage-wise the winningest coach Georgia Tech has had, minus Bobby Dodd or somewhere in the modern, what I would consider modern era, 1980 to now. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Hope you have a great night tonight. If you have kids, go trick or treat, do what you do. And I will be streaming the game tonight, Syracuse, UNC. I'll be back in time to do that. So you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you guys next time.